hands. Fire and water unleashed fury. Creator of the universe, whose name is love and compassion, and whose essence is wisdom, divinity, purpose, we cry in anguish. We are submerged in doubt and fear. Help us to hold the suffering of the world and offer a compassionate hand. God of mercy, be gentle with our pain and doubt. Help us as we struggle with confusion and loss. Darkness, cold, fear, hunger, thirst, protect us. Creator of the universe, we offer gratitude for the blessings, for survival, for the graciousness of strangers, and for heroic acts that abound. Grant us strength, resilience, fortitude, hope, and faith. And let us say, Amen. And despite these words of difficulty and challenge and these prayers for hope and healing, we also lift our voices to the Shabbat as we think of ways in which we turn to the goodness that surrounds us. Even amidst the difficulties, even amidst the brokenness, we can find a sense of wholeness together as we join together in our worship.
Ay, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Ay, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Ay, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Ay, ay, Shabbat Shalom. Ay, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Ay, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Ay, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. How about just ay, ay, ay? Ay, 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 ay. Everybody at home. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, ay. Shalom. Ay, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Ay, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Ay, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai 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 dai, yai dai dai. Shabbat Shalom.
The sun on the treetops no longer is seen. Come gather to welcome the Sabbath, our Queen. Behold her descending, the holy, the blessed, and with her the angels of peace and of rest. Draw near, and here abide. Draw near, O Sabbath bride. Peace also to you, you angels of peace. We turn now to page 24 as we greet the Shabbat with Shalom Aleichem, as we greet all the good that exists in our lives and all the angels that surround us with their glory.
Lai, 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 Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mimelech, Malchei Hamlachim, Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Koach Malachem l'shalom, Malachei hashalom, Malachei elyon. Mimelech, Mimelech, Malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. La 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 la. Barchuni l'shalom, Malachei shalom, Malachei elyon. Mimelech, Mimelech, Malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seitchem l'shalom, Malachei hashalom, Malachei elyon. Mimelech, Mimelech, Malchei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. La 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 la.
Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer on the mystery of a withered leaf, on ripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days. Lest my day be today as the one before, lest routine set my ways. We join together now in the Chatzi Kaddish that can be found on page 26.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Ve'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala u'vizman kahariv ve'yimeru. Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach le'alam u'le'almei almaya yitbarach ve'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasei v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal Shemei de Kudesha Brichu Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata Tushbechata v'nechemata Damiran be'alma v'yimeru Amen.
We rise now, if you are able, as we turn to the call to worship found on page 28. We continue now in the Hebrew on page 30. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma poteach she'arim, uvitvuna meshane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umsader et hachochavim, b'mishmertehem berakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Umavir yom umevi layla, umavdil ben yom uvein layla. Adonai Tzivaot Shemo. El Chai v'Kayam Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim. The top of page 33. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. We turn now to the watchword of our faith, the Shema. Page 34. You may be seated. We continue with the Ve'ahavta on page 36.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha Veshinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'aderech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha ukeshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha uchetabtam al mezuzot beitecha uv'isharecha Leman tizkeru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kedoshim le'Elohechem Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem
Adonai Elohechem Emet. The top of page 39, we read together, standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together.
Hamocha Bailim Adonai Mi Kamocha Nedar Bakodesh Nora Tehilot O Seifele Nora Tehilot O Seifele Malachutecha Ra'u Vanecha Bokei Hayam Lifnei Moshe uMiriam Zeili ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
The bottom of page 43. Give us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. On page 45, we are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. Shamru, page 44.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Pray as if everything depended on God, and act as if everything depended on you. We turn now to page 46 as we rise together for the tefillah.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot ve'Imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
You may be seated. We continue reading together on page 55. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mikadesh HaShabbat.
Amen.
The top of page 57. Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu be'amecha Yisrael, u'tefilatam ba'ava tekabel, u'tehil ratzon tamid avodat Yisrael amecha. Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer, wherever we live, wherever we seek you. In this land, in Zion restored in all lands, you are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, shotecha levadecha b'yirah na'avod.
Amen.
Page 59, we think of all of the blessings that have come our way. Maybe the blessings of being able to go outside and walk amidst the warmth of summer. The blessings may be the gift that is of a community that can gather virtually or in person, and could be the gift of knowing that friendship lies beyond the doors of our homes and certainly within our hearts. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulcha na'eh lehodot.
Amen.
We continue now as we think of all of the difficulties and the challenges and the brokenness that exists in the world, as we think of all of the need for peace that exists not only within our heart, but within our nation and within the globe around us. We think of these words that can be found on page 61, and we read them as we think of that wholeness and holiness that we are so in need of. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, eternal one, who blesses our people with peace.
Amen.
As we've just recited this prayer for shalom, we also think of those for whom we pray that they have a sense of shalom, a sense of wholeness. We think of these dear members of our community who are in need of refuat nefesh or refuat guf, a healing of spirit or a healing of body. Particularly in our hearts and minds, we are thinking of Shendel Bat Frida Malka, Shirley Graham, Laura Bublitz, Keturah Bublitz, Ari Bublitz, Julie Borikoff, Margot Roz, Carol Dubin, Carrie Yudkovich, Otto Feller, Samsara Vizcaya, Sharon Rotman, Eliyahu Ben Maxinемla, Bob Radke, Lyle Rubel, Mark Cook, Moshe Ben Nechama, Karen Pearson, Jean Bass, Alan Turner, Judy Weingarten, Myron Dvorkin, Sybil Savalsky, Esther Cohen, Lauren Cheris, Matt Cheris, Lisa Furstad, Terry Finch, Phil Himmelfarb, Vince Tomkowitz, Harav, Ilana Miriam Batchava, Faye Levin, Sarah Rachel Yocheved Alexander, David Feldner, Gili Gollopel, Prue Precourt, Linda Berlin, Alan Elias, Bobby Mendelson, Tia Barrett, Wendy Salzberg, Adrian Kotrodimos, Dennis Nathan, and Leanne Boris. If there are names that should be added to this list or names that should be pronounced differently than I did, I invite you to hold those names in your heart now as we turn to these words of healing. Baruch atah Adonai Rofei HaCholim. Blessed are you, the source of healing. With these beautiful words of healing still echoing in our hearts and minds, we take this time for silent prayer. Well, Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
It is truly amazing that this Shabbat marks the final Shabbat we are experiencing without the doors of our synagogue open wide for members of our congregation to enter. And for much of the past year, I've walked into this beautiful sanctuary and lamented that the beauty and grandeur that we experience here is without the people that truly give it its soul. And there are certain places in my life that always fill me with a sense of connection like this one. My childhood home was such a place that fills me with memories and connections of thoughts of my family and my earlier years. Whenever I land in Israel, I'm filled with a sense of history, a sense of nostalgia for my time living there, as well as an abiding excitement and hope for the future. It's a connection across the millennia. And when I returned to Cincinnati, to the campus of Hebrew Union College, and stepped into the storied chapel, I was genuinely surprised at the affection and emotion that I felt for a place I believed I was so ready to leave at the end of my studies. But now it feels like a connection to the timeless teachings and the teachers of that place. I know that all of you have places that touch you that way in your lives, just as I do in mine. When we walk through the doors of our synagogue and of our sanctuary, we may feel a connection as well. For the synagogue is not only a refuge from the storms of life, or a place of celebration and a place of mourning, a place to feel the edifying presence of our spirituality, it is also a place that connects us to each other. For many of you who have been members of Congregation Shalom for decades, this sanctuary is a link to sacred moments in your lives. Its walls and its hallways are filled with memories of the voices of people who are with us today and those who are spiritually with us today. There are moments in which we hear the laughter of children, and times when quietly we have heard the sounds of Yiddish or kibitzing from the tables of our elders. And through this period of COVID, we've been fortunate that we've been able to stay connected through technology, but I have yet to find a technology that can replace the quality of physical experience. I think our congregation is beautiful, which is why in this week's Torah portion, Balak, when we hear the words of the foreign prophet Balaam, looking over the tents of our Hebrew ancestors, and he utters the words, Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael, how goodly are your tents, O Jacob, your dwelling places, O Israel. It fills me with a question about what he saw. After all, this people who fled Egypt in haste and wandered amidst the wilderness couldn't have possibly had tents that were considered aesthetically pleasing. And the rabbis of old shared my curiosity, and the rabbinic imagination drew them to important answers. We know that where God dwells, there is beauty. In this poem and prophecy uttered by Balaam, there are many words used to speak of places of shelter, tent, tabernacle, house, sanctuary, and temple. God dwelled and dwells in all those places. And perhaps the challenging events of this year brought with it positive lessons. Perhaps we rediscovered that God wasn't merely found in one place, but could be found in nature that surrounds us, the work of the hospitals and their staff that sustained us, the work of our neighbors who kept us fed and well. And at the beginning of the pandemic, people used social media to share in actions that brought them profound comfort, braiding challah at home for a Shabbat dinner with family, lighting the candles to fill their homes with spiritual light, blessing each other with words even when we lacked the ability to embrace. Beauty could most certainly be found in our homes. And that is what our tradition always teaches us. It teaches us that after the great temple in Jerusalem was destroyed, God could be found in the synagogues of our wandering people, the homes that we fill with love, and our deepest selves that house our souls. There has and always will be that beauty. It is beauty that you can't merely see with your eyes. You have to look with your heart. So what did Balaam see? The rabbis say that when Balaam looked down upon the tents, he didn't see beautiful fabric. Rather, he saw that the entrance of each tent was oriented so that it would not face another's entrance, thereby providing privacy to the occupants. And Rabbi Meir Leibush ben Yechiel Michal Weiser of the early 19th century, who had quite the name, interprets how goodly to mean Balaam saw moral, not aesthetic beauty. Moral beauty is something that we must strive for as a people. At the outset of COVID, Our guiding principles led us to make the decision to move to online forms of worship, education, and gatherings, out of a feeling of moral responsibility to our society and to ourselves, to protect the health of our community and the lives of those we care for deeply amidst a global pandemic, which took the lives of over 600,000 Americans. And the fact that we as a community could accept that and find ways of gathering virtually instead of physically was in itself beautiful. And now it is a moral beauty that is leading us back to the congregation to share once again in life's moments, to return to the embraces of friendship and physical presence that is so essential to our humanity. I've always been moved by the choice of phrases that are placed on the walls of our sanctuary. And to my left, there are words, V'asuli mikdash v'shachanti b'tocham, make for me a sanctuary that I might dwell within them. And the fact that the word sanctuary is singular and that God dwells within the plural word them leads us to understand that the them is us. Wherever we may be, we still have God within us. Wherever we are at home or home at Shalom, we have a sanctuary within us to inspire the divine in our lives. And the other phrase, Da lifnei mi ata omed, know before whom you stand, is usually a belief that we stand before God, but as I usually am facing all of you, I always thought these words could be understood as leading me to stand with my community, to know you, to spend time with you face to face, to be in each other's company. I suppose I could sum up this entire sermon by saying Shalom is beautiful indeed, but it is made more beautiful when it is filled with the people for whom God dwells. That beauty is not on the surface. It is beautiful when it is filled with those that we love and care for. So I'm excited to have you all back in person next week with opportunities to celebrate life's moments and to welcome new friends. There's a meaningful legend I'd like to share. In a mountain village in Europe, many centuries ago, there was a nobleman who wondered what legacy he might be able to leave for his townspeople. At last, he decided to build a synagogue. No one saw the plans for the building until it was finished. And when the people came for the first time, they marveled at its beauty and completeness. Then someone asked, "Where are the lamps? How will it be lighted?" And the nobleman pointed to brackets hung on the synagogue walls. He then gave each family a lamp, instructing them to bring their lamps each time they came to the synagogue. "Each time you're not here," he said, "that part of the synagogue will be unlit. This is to remind you that each of you brings light and beauty to our community. And when each of you is present, some part of God's house will be brighter for your presence." I can speak for all of us at Congregation Shalom, all of the staff and the clergy, that we cannot wait to see your light in our sanctuary again. And on that day, let us all declare, Ma tovu ohelecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. How goodly are your tents, O Jacob, your dwelling places, O Israel. And Shabbat Shalom. We are now going to turn to page 282 as we turn to Aleinu, and I'm going to call forward our Executive Director, Linda Hollifield, to open up the Ark doors with me. Linda has not left this building since COVID began. She has been in her office nonstop, making sure that the needs of our congregation and our community were tended to. It's a joy to be on the bima with you, Linda. Please rise.
Please rise. Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, la'teit gedula le'yotzer bereshit, shelo asanu kegoyei ha'aratzot, velo samanu kemishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, vegor aleinu kechol hamonam. Va'anachnu koreim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamelachim hakadosh baruch hu. V'nehemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz Bayom hahu echad, u'shemo echad, u'shemo echad, u'shemo
We turn now to memory, and we turn now as we think of our loved ones, those who have entered into death eternal in this week and in seasons gone by. Particularly in our hearts and minds, we are thinking of the memory of Pearl Stein, who passed this week, and those for whom we mark Shoshim. We think of Jean Berman, Buzz Botwinick, and Linnea Harrington. To those names, too, we add those for whom we commemorate their yahrzeit. And though they have passed in seasons gone by, we still continue to feel their presence with us. We think of Arlene Altman, Darlene Ausman, Morris Berger, Stanley Bernstein, Marvin Bruderson, Rachel Cash, Lester Chuluk, Kate Corin, Maris Doherty, Celia Genlin, Michael David Goldberg, Vivian Hurst, Bernard Hirsch, Bradley Stephen Holzman, Lionel Lambert, Herman Larkey, Herman Lieberman, Richard Morris, Natalie Mushin, Laura Neubauer, Patricia Nolte, Dean Olson Sr., Dr. Harold Ottenstein, Stephen Chad Pearson, Michael Plotkin, Bernard Rosen, Louis Setlick, Brenda Safer, Melissa Shovers, Milton Soref, Barrett Philip Stern, Laurette Warshaw, Arlene Wasserman, Murray Weinstein, Burton Zimmerman. If there are names that should be added to this list or names that should be pronounced differently than I did, I invite you to hold those names in your heart. And in addition to the names of our loved ones, so too do we think of all those who died due to war and or terrorism, all those who died in defense of this nation and allied nations' ideals. We think of all of those who have perished due to this terrible virus that has stricken our world, as well as those who have died due to the virus of racism. We also think of all of those victims of the horrible incidents that took place in South Florida. We also always think of those who've perished during the Holocaust. Our griefs and sympathies are mingled as we turn to words sanctified by memory, words glorified by hope. The Kaddish Yatom, the Mourner's Kaddish, can be found on page 294 as we recite these sacred words together. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shmei rabba, v'alma divrach chirutei v'amlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevorach leolam ulamei amaya. Yit barach v'it tabach v'it pa'ar v'it ramam v'it naseh. V'it hadar v'it aleh v'it halal shmei d'kudusha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush bechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran b'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru amen. O say shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us say, amen. In our tradition, you may be seated, in our tradition we always turn from moments of sadness, moments in which we are reflecting on our history and reflecting on the love that we shared with others, as we think also of the joy that is yet to come. And so it is always a joy to turn to our announcements as we hear about good things that are coming to our congregation. And we turn to words of announcements from our congregational president, Brent Arnold. Shabbat Shalom, Brent.
Thanks, Rabbi. I'm very excited that this will be my very last virtual Shabbat announcements. You should all be receiving a letter this week detailing out our congregation's reopening plan. Next week's Shabbat services will be back in person, and I am so excited to see our sanctuary full of our smiling congregants again. Please remember to register for the service, and we really look forward to seeing you in person again next week. A special Mazel Tov goes out to Rabbi Noah and Linda Holyfield for celebrating their 10th anniversary here at Congregation Shalom. What a great milestone for both of you. The immense energy, pride, and character that you both bring and put into this congregation is truly amazing. We at Congregation Shalom are so blessed to have you both, and a lot of our success is because of both of you. Choir rehearsal starts back up Monday at 7 o'clock in the Samson Sanctuary. It's really great to be getting the choir back together. Please reach out to Cantor Perper if you are interested in joining the choir. Also, this Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, our very own Dr. Stephen Moffick will be partnering with HERC to provide a virtual workshop for children of Holocaust survivors. Some really great work going on with HERC. We will be welcoming Rabbi Taylor Pozlowski to our community as she begins her rabbinate with us next week. I look forward to you all meeting her. She'll be a great addition to our congregation. Brian Avner, our new Director of Lifelong Learning, will then join us later in the month when he returns from his camp participation this summer at Camp Olin St. Ruby. It will be great to have him here as well. And just a quick reminder that our Torah study starts tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, and Shabbat service follows at 10 a.m. Minyan is also Monday at 5:45. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Happy summer, and let's go Milwaukee Bucks.
Shabbat Shalom, Brent. Hey, Cantor, can you tell that we're excited for everybody to come back next week?
I'm particularly excited that you already lined up the opening song for last week, Ma Tovu. So that's one less thing I have to worry about for next Shabbat. But to tell you the truth, I'm a little bit nervous.
Are you nervous?
Yeah, I'm a little bit nervous to have 150 people in the room. I'm excited and a little anxious too, but it's all in a good way.
Well, I think that excitement and that nervous energy that we're all feeling is a good thing, because it means that this is so important to us. It is something that is so meaningful in our lives, and to have it back, to be able to give each other an embrace if you're vaccinated and you feel up to it, is something that is precious. It's precious beyond anything that we could possibly imagine. If anything has taught us some important lessons over that year, it's that the presence that we can feel, whether it be virtually or spiritually or physically, is so important in our lives. So it is a joy to have that light return to our sanctuary, to have that light return to our community and to our congregation. And symbolic of that light, we are going to kindle the Shabbat lights. And if you have your candles at home, I invite you to kindle the Shabbat lights as well as we join together in the blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. We also now turn to our Kiddush, which can be found in your Siddur on page 5. We invite you to rise once again as we lift a cup that is overflowing with blessings.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lemaaseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh Zecher litziat Mitzrayim, Kivanu v'acharta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, be'ahava uvratzon, hinchaltanu, baruch ata Adonai, mekadesh ha-shabbat, l'chaim l'shalom.
L'chaim. So, Cantor, what is our closing hymn for the Shabbat? Oh, looks like you were going to take to the piano. Is that right? Nope, never mind.
Nope, never mind.
All right. What is our closing hymn for this Shabbat?
Page 321. It's an oldie but a goodie
Adon Olam.
by Eliezer Gorovich. We sing together. Adon Olam Hashem Malach B'terem kol yitzir nivra Le'ed nasa b'chefso kol Azai melech shemo nikra Ve'acharei kiklot hakol Levado yimloch nora Ve'hu haya ve'hu hoveh Ve'hu yiyeh b'tifara Ve'hu echad ve'ein sheni Lehamshilo lehachbira Beli reshit beli tachlit Ve'lo ha'oz ve'hamisra Ve'hu eli ve'chai goali Ve'tzorchev li be'etzara Ve'hu nisi umanos li Menat kosi beyom ekra beyado Afkid ruchi be'et ishan ve'aira Ve'im ruchi geviati Adonai li ve'lo ira.
Shabbat Shalom. Let us end with the words of the foreign prophet Balaam. Ma tovu ohelecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. How beautiful are your tents, O Jacob, your dwelling places, O Israel. Those tent flaps are going to be wide open. Welcome you back home. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.